What's up, guys? This is Anime Crossover. I'm back with another episode of What If Naruto Was the Red Flash Part 8. And if you did enjoy this video, give this video a like, and if you're new to my channel and like my content, subscribe and hit that notification bell for more crossover fictions with a twist. Now let's begin this new video.
The rogues have arrived. You haven't been down here that much, Felicity replied as she started doing the math. If they're communicating via radio, they'll be on the FRS, somewhere between 462 and 467 MHz, and I should be able to triangulate their location if I send out a frequency burst. I didn't understand a word you said, but Oliver was lucky to have you, Laurel stated as Felicity's calculations revealed the location. Dig stated, 114 Grandview Plaza. Laurel explained, Felicity, that's the Glade's precinct. Well, it's not like the cops are using it, Roy pointed out. I checked that place, and I didn't see Brick at all, Naruto remarked as Felicity dug. And I think I know why, Felicity replied, pulling up a map of the precinct and historical newspaper stories from the 1920s. During Prohibition, the Glade's precinct was a famous bar with a secret tunnel leading to a hotel a few blocks away. In the 1950s, the bar was converted into the precinct. I guess Brick found the tunnel, Dig speculated. Let's get ready, Roy stated as he, Laurel, and Naruto dressed. At the precinct, Brick directed his men to collect all of the evidence from the evidence room, which they would use to liberate more men, drop existing charges, and loot the armory. Brick was sitting in his office near the secret tunnel, talking to the two men who had botched the diner robbery. So, why don't you explain it to me, boys? Brick inquired. They got the jump on us, boss, he explained. No, I mean where you had the red one in front of your shotgun and he's still alive, and that revenue loss is costing me money, Brick shouted as he smashed his pistol against the table. And it wasn't even that blur I'd heard about. It was those two stupid idiots in red and black, who should have been easy kills. Brick retied his tie and placed the weapon on the table. Now you know the deal, boys. You take me down first, and you walk out alive, Brick said as the two guys exchanged glances. One of them rushed for the gun, but Brick grabbed it before and shot him in the heart. When the power went out, Brick aimed his rifle at the other guy's head. Felicity had managed to cut the electricity to the building and was about to offer Arsenal, Black Canary, and Impulse assistance as well as a bird's eye view. Alright, the power's off, Felicity said. There's a ventilation shaft 40 feet north of your current location that should drop you off in the east wing, where there are only 2 sentries now, Dig explained. Arsenal exclaimed as he and Black Canary entered through their, got it. From across the street, Impulse switched to thermal and noticed half of Brick's men start patrolling while the other were hauling boxes and weaponry. Felicity, Impulse said, I see a lot of Brick's men moving boxes from the first floor west area. Checking. That's an evidence lock-up room. It appears that Brick is attempting to get rid of more evidence in order to free more men, Felicity remarked. Naruto, get that evidence and bring it back here. The more we save, the harder we make it on Brick, Dig said. On it, Impulse yelled as he ran into the building and shoulder-tackled one of the goons away from the evidence room, slamming him into a wall. The remainder of Brick's soldiers noticed him and opened fire, but Impulse rushed away, dodging the barrage of bullets. He dashed back and swiped all of their weapons. He came by again and knocked everyone out. He started pulling evidence boxes out of the police station and running them back to the bunker 2 at a time. He delivered roughly 30 boxes of evidence to the bunker in about a minute. Naruto, we lost contact with Roy and Laurel. Dig exclaimed as Naruto switched to thermal and saw Roy and Laurel on the ground, a fire raging above him. I see them. Impulse exclaimed as he dashed upstairs and saw Brick shoot his pistol at Black Canary, prompting him to charge forward and catch the bullet. What the hell? Brick exclaimed as Impulse appeared in a blur. Arsenal, phosphorus arrow. Impulse yelled as Arsenal drew out Naruto's white phosphorus arrow and launched it at the wall, erupting in a massive puff of white smoke and fire. This distracted Brick, allowing Impulse to grab him and Black Canary and flee the precinct before it burned down. As Dig and Felicity appeared in a whoosh of air, Impulse raced them back to the bunker. Are you guys alright? Dig inquired. Roy stated as he removed his mask and hood, yeah, little crispy but nothing serious. Brick escaped, Laurel said. But we've stopped him from disposing of more evidence, and we can track him again using the radio frequency, and he's probably not going to be at the police station because it's on fire, Naruto explained as they glanced at him. I'm more of a glass half full kind of guy. Naruto's right. We'll get him next time, Dig remarked as Laurel and Roy changed out of their outfits. And we've stopped him from destroying cases for dozens of other people imprisoned in Iron Heights. Brick won't be getting any more help, Felicity remarked as Naruto approached the computer. I'll take them to the district attorney's office later, Naruto added. Good. We've finally gotten a step ahead of Brick after days of trailing him, Laurel replied. However, there is some bad news. Brick must have realized something because I can't track the radio signal from their walkie-talkies. He must have abandoned them and is getting new ones to replace the old, Felicity remarked as they all breathed. Great, now we just have to find him and take down his army of bad guys, Roy remarked. Perhaps I could be of assistance, Naruto said as he rapidly turned, sped forward, grabbed the person who spoke, and slammed him into the wall. Who are you? Yelled Naruto as the others turned to see Naruto throw Malcolm Merlin into the wall before they could blink. Merlin, what the hell are you doing here? Dig asked as Merlin looked at them and the man who had shoved him into the wall before he could blink. I'm here to talk. Would you mind telling your friend to let me go? Merlin asked as Naruto's hold tightened. Why should we? Roy questioned. Because I came to talk about a mutual inconvenience you've been having and who almost got the upper hand on you tonight, Merlin explained as Dig looked around the room. As Naruto released go of Merlin, Dig said, let him go. Merlin swallowed and adjusted his tie. You must be one of the Central City speedsters I've seen on the news, Merlin stated before Naruto smacked him across the face with speed. Merlin staggered back and spewed blood. That was for Oliver, Naruto explained as he returned to the others. Someone, please tell me how this is happening again, Felicity pleaded, annoyed to find Merlin in their hiding place. Daniel Brickwell, it appears we share an interest, Merlin stated. You know Brickwell murdered your wife, Laurel pointed out. Her name was Rebecca. Maintaining my usual network of associates has become, hey, shall we say problematic since my death, but the fact that you were able to locate Mr. Brickwell even though he had gone to ground demonstrates your group's capacity, Merlin explained. You were following us, and we led you straight to him, Roy explained. What do you want? If we led you right to him, you'd have everything you need if you hadn't come here instead, Naruto explained. It appears your new friend is very perceptive. While I'm more skilled than all of you combined, I'm wise enough to recognize that there is strength in numbers, Merlin explained. Do you want us to team up with you? Felicity inquired, surprised by what she was hearing. I guess the question is whether your contempt for me outweighs your desire to see Mr. Brickwell dealt with, Merlin explained. Laurel clarified, you mean killed. You have options, weigh them, and I'll be back in 24 hours, Merlin stated as he walked away. Naruto stated, I don't like him. XXXXX line break.
Naruto and Team Arrow rested and considered their options for dealing with Brick and whether or not to accept Merlin's offer.
Merlin would be back by the end of the day, giving them enough time to examine the offer and devise a strategy to bring Brick down. Felicity was adamant about not cooperating with him, especially since he was the reason Oliver died while everyone else was still deliberating. While everyone else was in the bunker, Roy went to meet Thea. While Laurel, Felicity, and Diggle resumed their lengthy conversation on Merlin, Naruto sat at a table with some tools, working on something. How can you even be arguing for this right now? Felicity questioned. Because I'm paying attention. Brick has the Glades under siege, and despite Naruto's assistance, we're not winning. Laurel replied as they stared at Naruto working on something. Naruto remarked as he grabbed up a screwdriver and began tightening a bolt, none taken. He's got the cops scared, he's got us outnumbered and outgunned, and I'm not saying let's give Malcolm his own glass case. All I'm saying is let's use him the same way he wants to use us, Laurel added. Dig remarked, to point him like a loaded gun at Brick. Laurel said, exactly. Well, A, I'm not okay with that, and B, even if I was, there has to be a better way to do it than get in bed with Malcolm Merlin, Felicity explained. As Roy entered, he stated, there isn't. Oliver is gone, and there's only so much the five of us can do. I just found out, but the night of the siege, Malcolm saved Thea's life. He didn't have an ulterior motive, no agenda. He just wanted to protect what he cared about. He cares about this city. He just went about it in a completely unimaginable way. So, just like Thea did the night of the siege, we need him. I can't imagine Oliver agreeing to any of this in any world, universe, or plane of existence, Felicity replied. Well, Oliver isn't here anymore, so we should stop acting like he is, Roy explained. We need to make our own decisions. I honestly don't know how else we're going to stop Brick. And I honestly don't know how we're going to live with ourselves if we do it this way, Felicity responded. So, what are we going to do? Do we vote? Roy inquired. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Hell is full of good intentions, but heaven is full of good work, Naruto stated as the others gazed at him. I'm sorry, I just said what was on my mind. Dig inquired. Naruto, care to weigh in here? I'm just a visitor, Naruto explained. Please, Naruto, we're just going back and forth. Any new perspective would be nice, Dig remarked as Naruto set down his tools and turned to face the others. Alright, back when we were fighting Harkness, Oliver told me that this kind of work is messy, that there are people in the world who only deal in extremes and that only extreme methods will stop them, and I accept that it might be necessary, Naruto replied, recalling their fight with Captain Boomerang. Having said that, I still think trusting Merlin is a bad idea. But didn't you say that we might need to use extreme measures to fight back? Roy inquired. I did, and maybe we will, but I don't think Merlin is that measure. Look, I don't have the background with him that you do, and I don't know him personally, but from what I've seen, he's someone you don't trust. He lost someone he loves, and I understand that grief, but that doesn't justify the murder of 503 innocent people and the destruction of part of an entire city. Not to mention, I, for one, don't want to spend any more time with Malcolm Merlin than is absolutely necessary, Felicity stated. The most important thing is trust. Can you all say right now that you trust Malcolm Merlin even for a second? Naruto said, knowing they couldn't. Dig stated as he walked away to speak with Merlin, I'll be right back. Dig exited the bunker and went into the alley beside Verdant, where he waited for Merlin. Has the jury reached a verdict? Merlin inquired as he entered the alley. Dig told him, it has. Guilty. I guess that means no, Merlin replied. You were expecting something different, Merlin? Dig inquired. What, you'd think you'd have some common sense? Merlin asked. You really thought we'd throw in with you? After what you did to Thea, Sarah, and Oliver? Dig inquired. Merlin said, to save your precious city, yes. Well, here's the thing. Once we allow the ends to justify the means, that's just the first step, Dig explained as he walked away. Towards what? Inquired Merlin. Dig remarked as he walked back inside the bunker, becoming you. How did Merlin take it? Laurel inquired. I think he was just annoyed, Dig replied. Didn't we make the right decision by refusing Merlin's assistance? Laurel inquired. I'm not sure if we made the right decision, Laurel, but we definitely did the right thing, Dig remarked, looking around but not seeing Naruto. Where's Naruto? He had to rush to Star Labs to pick up a few things, Felicity said as a whoosh of air brushed by them and Naruto appeared holding 2 cases, and then there he is. Sorry for the delay. I had to get some things from Star Labs, and I spoke with Dr. Wells about our problem with Brick, and he was able to find a solution, Naruto explained as he handed Felicity a USB drive. What's that? Dig inquired. Dr. Wells managed to work out a program and algorithm that can track hard-to-find radio transmissions using FRS, and because those frequencies aren't used as much as they used to be, the program can use our previous search to narrow down likely frequencies that Brick will be using, Naruto explained as Felicity plugged in the program and it began tracking down Brick. Nicely done, Laurel commented, now that they had a method to find Brick. When the software was able to identify the frequency Brick was using, it began tracking his whereabouts to an old abandoned motel in the Glades. Felicity stated, we got him. We have him, but we need an army to bring him and his thugs down, Roy explained. You've got me. Even the odds a little in your favor, Naruto stated as Laurel had an idea. Naruto is correct. We need some extra help out there, but Merlin isn't the only one in town, Laurel added. Dig inquired, who else is there? I can think of a few people, Laurel responded with a nod from Dig. Let's do it. It ends tonight. An all-out assault on Brick, Dig remarked as they nodded. Dig walked over to get a balaclava mask as Laurel and Roy went to find some help. You won't need that, Dig. I've got something better for you, Naruto stated as he gave him a case. What's this? Dig inquired. Well, Lila did say to make you something to keep you safe out there, not to mention keep your identity hidden, so this is it, Naruto stated as he opened the case to display a black and gray metal helmet with a T-shaped visor. Polycarbonate tubing helmet with accompanied laments and polymers, custom made, along with a retractable visor that comes with a variety of enhanced vision modes. 2. Naruto, this is incredible. When did you find the time to design something like this? Felicity inquired as Dig picked it up and examined it. I spent that time building and making some new toys I think you guys will like, Naruto said as Dig placed it on and buckled it tight as the visor came up. Amazing, Dig commented as Naruto smiled, and it's bulletproof, so you won't have to worry about gunfire, Naruto said, as Dig smiled. Dig remarked, you outdid yourself, Naruto. Pleased to assist, Naruto remarked as he dressed. Roy and Laurel returned to the bunker an hour later and changed into their suits. As Laurel put on her costume and placed her tonfa around her waist, Roy packed his quiver with arrows. When Naruto approached with the other case, she was preparing to retrieve her sonic device. When I said you could use an upgrade, I think this one will suffice, Naruto stated as he opened the case to reveal a high-tech gadget that resembled a choker or collar and featured a canary emblem in the center. 3. As she lifted it up, Laurel said, "Oh my god. It reads your own vocal emissions and reprocesses them through a digital output into a multi-channel with quadruple the range and triple the resonance. When you scream, everyone better have good earplugs because you will knock them down," Naruto marveled. "I can't believe you did this so quickly," Laurel exclaimed. "I've been known to work quickly, and it's calibrated to your own biometrics, so no one else can use it," Naruto stated as he accepted it. "May I?" Laurel nodded, moving her hair so Naruto could wrap it around her neck and lock it on her throat. "Just scream, and this thing will unleash hell. It's so powerful that it causes physical distortions of sound waves in the air. Every canary needs a cry," Naruto explained. "It's incredible, Naruto," Laurel exclaimed as she adjusted her collar. "And to make sure you don't lose your hearing, I've made these special earplugs that'll protect you from the intense sound," Naruto explained as he handed the earplugs to Laurel, Roy, Dig, and Felicity. "Okay, we'll stop Brick tonight," Dig remarked as they exited the bunker. 2 arrows shattered the headlights and another hit a tire, inflating it as Brick and 2 of his men were leaving the abandoned motel where they were sleeping. Brick looked around and noticed Arsenal, Black Canary, and a newcomer standing in the street. "Looks like you kids got yourself a babysitter to take you trick-or-treating. Well, look at that. Didn't anybody tell you Halloween was 3 months ago?" Brick inquired. "Daniel Brickwell, you have failed this city," exclaimed Black Canary and Arsenal. "And you seem to have failed your math. Can't you see there's a lot more of us than there are of you?" Brick remarked as 200 of his men arrived, all armed. "Guess again, Brickhead," Sin said as she and 100 Glade's residents joined Arsenal, Black Canary, and Dig, who were all armed with pipes, bats, and other weapons. One individual wearing a black jacket, mask, and equipped with brass knuckles approached Black Canary and smiled. "Is this little parade supposed to mean anything, or have you forgotten that I've got all the firepower? Kill them all." Brick yelled as his men raised their guns, but before they could fire a shot, an orange and white blur rushed by and all their guns vanished. "What the hell is going on?" The blur passed them by as Impulse came to a halt next to Dig. "I'm sorry for being late, but I think it evened the odds a little," he remarked as Dig nodded. "Get him!" Brick yelled as his men surged forward, while Arsenal and the others charged at them and battled in the street. Impulse surged forward, effortlessly knocking back many of Brick's guys as he jumped and punched a thug in the face, knocking him into a car. He dodged a baseball bat and spin-kicked the bad man in the face before moving his head to escape a fist and slugging the gangbanger in the stomach with his fist, causing him to double over in pain. Impulse then began ducking and dodging punches and kicks from 4 gangbangers, which he did easily due to his quickness. He grabbed one of the gangbanger's fists and slung him over his shoulder and into the ground before elbowing the second guy in the face. Impulse parried and blocked a strike from the 3rd goon before grabbing his arm and throwing him towards the 4th. Impulse then spun-kicked the 1st goon in the face, knocking him out, before leg sweeping the 3rd and knocking out the 4th with a right cross to the face. He then grabbed the 2nd individual and tossed him to the ground. Impulse kept battling, easily engaging at least 6 to 8 of Brick's soldiers, whereas Arsenal fought 2 at a time. Black Canary attacked one of his men with her tonfa stick, while Dig breezed through the bad guys because to his vast experience with Oliver. As a fresh masked vigilante stepped forward, Brick punched out another of the Glade citizens who attacked him. "And which costume are you supposed to be?" Brick inquired. "Wildcat." Wildcat threw a punch that Brick stopped, but then punched him in the gut with his other hand, followed by a punch to the face. Wildcat replied with 4 punches to the face, a punch to the chest, a knee to the stomach, and a last elbow across the face as Brick was knocked back, his face bleeding from the onslaught but still on his feet. "Is that all you've got?" Brick asked, tackling Wildcat into a car and slamming him 3 times in the face. As Impulse raced up and hit Brick in the face, pushing him back, he tossed him to the ground and kicked him in the gut. You've been ruining my business." "Your business is over, Brick," Impulse said as he ducked beneath a blow and replied with an uppercut that pushed Brick back. After that, Impulse kicked Brick in the gut as Brick launched a punch, which Impulse blocked and responded with an elbow to the face. Impulse then launched 3 punches to Brick's chest and 1 more to his face before spinning and covering Wildcat. Canary, scream. Brick noticed Black Canary looking at him before opening her mouth and letting forth a sonic scream. "Ah!" she exclaimed as her canary cry triggered physical sound wave ripples that prompted everyone to shield their ears and knocked Brick into a wall. Black Canary came to a halt as she ducked to dodge a punch, allowing Brick to flee. Arsenal fired an arrow at the man, knocking him off Black Canary as she hurried to check on Wildcat. She removed his mask and noticed that he was bruised but will be alright. "You're going to be fine," she assured him as she embraced him. Impulse stood up and confronted 3 more of Brick's men. As soon as Sin saw Black Canary, She knocked out another of Brick's men, but it wasn't Sarah, and before she could do anything, she beat off another of Brick's men. Arsenal dispatched 2 more of Brick's men with his bow, while Impulse dispatched 3 more of Brick's men when the familiar sound of an arrow striking someone forced them to turn and witness a person who tried to sneak up on Black Canary was wounded in the leg by an arrow, and it was green in color. Oliver. Black Canary remarked as Impulse and Arsenal grinned, relieved that he was still alive. Arsenal. Let's end this now, Impulse exclaimed, nodding. Arsenal drew 4 instant cement arrows from his quiver as Impulse began rounding up and grouping all of Brick's troops they had dealt with. Arsenal launched an instant cement arrow towards them once they were in groups of 15 or more, trapping them. They managed to capture the majority of Brick's men while Impulse took the others and tied them up with rope and sat them on the street. The fight with Brick was done because all of his guys had been taken care of, but Brick was still gone. Brick was then thrown into the street, his hands bound and an arrow in his thigh, while everyone glanced up to see the arrow standing on the roof. Felicity, contact the SCPD. Brick has been apprehended. It's over, Dig said, and soon police officers and even a police bus arrived to haul away all of Brick's men. Dig and Arsenal returned to the bunker while Impulse drove Wildcat to the hospital. He returned to the Glades and hung back in the alley where Laurel was as the Glades residents came around to see the arrow speak to everyone while the cops arrested Brick. I've been gone, and I'm sorry. Sorry for what the city has had to endure in my absence, but you did endure it, and the evidence of that struggle is lying at my feet. Arrow said as he fired a grapple arrow and grappled away, leaving the police to arrest all of Brick's men. He always knows how to make an entrance, Naruto replied, smiling at Laurel. Laurel responded, that he does. Thanks for taking Ted to the hospital. Don't bring it up. Well, I think the city is safe now that Brick is in bars. I have to go back. Stay safe, Laurel, Naruto said as they hugged. Thank you, she replied as he returned her hug. Thank you, and if you need me, call and I'll be here before you can blink, Naruto laughed as he drove away. When Naruto entered the bunker, he saw Dig, Roy, and Felicity all watching the news, relieved and happy that Oliver was alive. I guess he's a tough guy to kill, Naruto replied, turning to see him carrying his luggage. And after tonight, the city is safe from Brick, and with Oliver back, you'll be in good hands. Are you already on your way back? Dig inquired. I've been away from Central City for far too long, Naruto said. Are you sure you don't want to stay? It's been fun having you here, and not just because you make our job 100 times easier, Roy stated as Naruto laughed. He's right. Central City has the flash. I'm sure Impulse could use a little more time in Starling City, Felicity stated. And I'd love to, but Central City is my home, and I'm in the weeds with my girlfriend, and I couldn't exactly tell her what I'd been doing here the past few days, Naruto stated, nodding. She doesn't know anything about you, Dig inquired. Not yet, but she will, and it's a long overdue conversation, Naruto stated as Dig nodded and moved over. Thank you for everything, Naruto, Dig replied as they shook hands. It was an honor. Fighting metahumans is fun, but it's nice to get back to basics every now and then, Naruto added as they laughed. And if fighting metahumans gets old, Dig added, you've got another option for crime fighting. He's right. You demonstrated some serious skill out there, Roy added. Naruto replied as he shook Roy's hand and hugged Felicity. Well, as you know, Oliver was a good teacher. Thank you for coming, Naruto. If you or Barry need us, just call and we'll be there as soon as we can. Give it a day or so, Felicity remarked as Naruto giggled. And if you guys need our help again, the same thing, but we'll be here faster, and the next time you see us, there will be more new toys to try out, Naruto stated as he waved farewell and went out of the bunker into the alley as Oliver approached. So, how was it coming back from the dead? Not something I'd recommend, Oliver replied as Naruto smiled. Glad to see you're alive and well, Naruto added as Oliver nodded and patted his chest. Alive, not sure about the well part. I saw you fight. It appears you really learned what I taught you, Oliver said. Naruto answered as he shook Oliver's hand, you're a good teacher. Thank you for assisting everyone, Oliver remarked. I'm glad to help, it was fun, but I think Starling is better now that the arrow is back, Naruto added as the two bro hugged. And if you need anything, I'm only a phone call away. Likewise, Oliver responded as Naruto saluted him with 2 fingers and zoomed away back to Central City. XXXXX line break things returned to normal once he returned to Central City and told the team how he helped stop a mobster from ruling the city and that Oliver was back. Because there were no new metahumans, Team Flash had to fight with conventional criminals like robbers and the like. He had heard that Snart and Rory were on the run when their prison vehicle was ambushed, but Naruto and Barry would be ready if they returned. Regarding Linda, Naruto decided to tell her the truth about his metahuman status, so he planned a dinner at Central City's fanciest restaurant, followed by a beautiful walk during which Naruto would reveal his true identity. Naruto had eaten before the meal, so he didn't need to order much. Naruto and Linda walked out of the restaurant with their tummies full of food and wine after a gorgeous, elegant, and slightly pricey night. Linda stated as they walked out of the restaurant, "That was an amazing meal." "Yes, it was, but I think the company improved it," Naruto remarked as Linda smiled and kissed him. "Oh, Naruto, remember that flattery will not get you ahead," Linda remarked, smirking. "Really? Maybe I should try harder," Naruto remarked as he wrapped his arms around her and whirled her around, causing her to chuckle. "Alright, so head back to my place?" Linda inquired, as Naruto cleared his throat. "Actually, do you want to walk around for a bit?" Naruto inquired, nodding. "Sure," she said as they exited the restaurant and started walking around the city. Linda observed Naruto appeared engrossed with something as they went. "Is everything alright, Naruto?" "Huh?" Naruto inquired. "You seem to be thinking about something serious," Linda observed. Naruto cleared his throat and continued, "Yeah, sorry about that." "You're not going to propose, are you?" Linda asked as Naruto coughed. "I'm flattered, but we've only been dating a few months, and I'd like to wait a little longer before I tie the knot." "No, nothing like that. I'm not ready to get married, even to you," Naruto corrected himself. "Not that I wouldn't love to marry someone like you. You're amazing, and you'd make an amazing wife, but I think it's way too early for something like that. Not that I've been thinking about it at all. No way. What's going on, where am I?" Linda burst out laughing at Naruto's frantic ramblings. He exhaled anxiously when he saw her laughing. "Oh, very funny. I nearly had a heart attack," Naruto remarked, wiping a tear from Linda's eye. "I'm sorry, but making you feel uncomfortable and rambling like that is too tempting to pass up," Linda explained. "Geez, only you can make me like this," Naruto commented as they continued walking. "It's my superpower. Speaking of which, can you believe we now have actual superheroes in the city? The Flash and Impulse. It's hard to believe people like that exist, but it would explain a lot of the strange things that have been happening in the city," Linda explained. "You have no idea," Naruto remarked as they passed into an alley. "So, what exactly did you want to talk about?" Linda inquired. "A lot, actually. The things that have been going on recently after the holidays and my little trip I took a few days ago," Naruto stated as Linda nodded. Linda replied as Naruto nodded, "Your little unexpected emergency." "Yeah, that. I was in Starling City helping some friends," Naruto explained. Linda commented as Naruto nodded, "Must be some friends if it was during the whole crisis with Brickwell." "Good friends, and part of what I want to tell you," Naruto explained. "Oh, isn't that cute?" they exclaimed as they turned to see two males dressed in hoodies and denim who appeared to be up to no good. "You two out for a stroll? You're from some fancy place, huh?" he asked, gazing at their outfits. As he approached Linda, Naruto answered, "Yeah, dinner." "Oh, dinner. Well, you see, my friends and I haven't eaten yet. Maybe you could give us a few bucks, so we could grab a meal?" he asked as Naruto turned his head and saw three more males emerge out of the alley and surround him and Linda. "Or you could just hand over everything you've got to make it easier." "Naruto," Linda said as Naruto protected her by putting her arm in front of her. "Look, guys, we don't want any trouble. Just let us go and we'll forget about it," Naruto remarked. "Oh, sounds like someone is scared. Hard to believe someone like you got a piece of ass like her," one of the guys remarked as Naruto became enraged. Men who had little respect for women were something he despised. "Okay, last warning. Let us leave before you do something you'll regret," Naruto said, his voice serious. "Oh, warning?" he replied as he drew out a switchblade and stepped forward to seize Linda, but Naruto grasped his wrist tightly. "Should have listened," Naruto murmured, twisting the guy's wrist, snapping it and forcing him to drop the knife. Naruto then hit him in the face and kicked him away while moving Linda to the side and spinning the two guys behind him. The fourth guy tackled Naruto, but Naruto kneed him in the gut and tossed him to the ground while kicking out his right leg and knocking him out with a punch to the face. As Naruto blocked their fists, the second and third attackers charged at him. As the fourth charged Naruto, he grabbed his arm, struck him across the face, and banged his head on a garbage. When he heard a rifle click, he came to a halt and turned to see Linda being held by the first person. He wrapped his twisted wrist around Linda's neck while holding a gun to her head with the other. Naruto told him to let her go. "Back up, freak. Now, give me everything you've got, or this bitch gets a bullet in the head," he yelled as Linda screamed. "Naruto," she yelled as the man tightened his grip on her. "Don't worry, Linda. Everything will be fine," Naruto comforted her. He said, "Did you hear me? Give me your wallet." Naruto clenched his fists as lightning flashed around his palms and in his eyes, representing his emotional state. "Please, stop. Please, stop. Please, stop. Calm down." Linda whispered as she closed her eyes and tried to relax. The lights on the street lamps began to flicker on and off, as did the parked automobiles on the street, and even the neighboring buildings' lights. Joe said as he scribbled down what Naruto said, "Not bad." "Did you go to CSI school like Barry?" Eddie inquired as Naruto began constructing a shoe mold. "No, just a quick study. CSI work is difficult, but nothing compared to physics," Naruto remarked as he noticed Barry sprinting. "Speaking of the devil." "Hey, guys. Sorry for the delay," Barry said. "No problem, just getting started," Naruto remarked as he examined them. "Alright, what do we have?" Barry inquired, setting down his case and donning his gloves. "Two dead men. No id and no visible sign of death. No blood splatter or other obvious signs of attack," Naruto remarked as Barry nodded and turned over the younger victim, revealing him to be a 30-year-old Caucasian dressed casually. "You're right. There were no visible signs of an attack or a struggle. He didn't realize what was going on until it was too late," Barry stated as he examined the body and noticed some stress fractures and impressions on the left wrist. "Wait a minute." Naruto knelt next to Barry and observed the stress fractures and impressions on his wrist. Stress fractures. Perhaps his wrist was grabbed. No signs of electricity burns, so it's not taser death, Barry explained as he twisted the wrist and Naruto noticed the tiny glimmer. "Wait," Naruto remarked as he moved the victim's wrist and they noticed a slight glimmer of oil on his arm. The oil derived from a fingerprint. "Fingerprint. Perhaps by our attacker," Barry added, grabbing some equipment and removing a fingerprint copy from the body. "We'll run it through the system, and maybe we'll get a match." "We'll need that based on the lack of physical evidence," Naruto stated as he turned over the other victim and recognized him from last night. "Wait a minute, I know this guy." "You do?" Barry inquired. "Yeah, Dr. Abner Kwa, former Mercury Labs employee," Naruto answered as Barry glanced about for any form of evidence. "How did you know that?" Barry inquired. "A long story, I'll explain later when we're alone," Naruto added as Barry agreed as the coroner arrived to bag the dead. They returned to the CCPD and searched through the evidence in Barry's lab to figure out what happened, but they came up empty-handed. The shoe print was too common to be distinguished, and the fingerprint was not in the system. When Joe went in, they were still working on something. "Hey, guys. We've got IDs on our two victims. The younger one is Alexander Reynolds, engineer at Mercury Labs. The older one is Dr. Abner Kwa, former employee at Mercury before he was forced to leave," Joe remarked as he gave them the two files. "How do you figure this out?" Barry inquired. "Their photos have been in scientific magazine circulations for years. We ran their photos through the database and got a match. No criminal records for either of them," Joe explained as Naruto examined them. "You were correct. How did you know this guy?" Barry inquired of Naruto. "It's best if we talk about this at Star Labs. Meet me there. I've got someone to pick up," Naruto remarked as they nodded. Naruto dashed to the shelter, then into an alley near Central City Picture News. Naruto came inside the newsroom with Kurama on his shoulder, seeing workers hard at work on the next issue and articles. He noticed people giving him strange stares, but he ignored them since he saw Linda at her desk. She saw him and waved as she delivered the editor her entire story and grabbed her coat and bag. "Hey there," Linda remarked as she stepped over, picking up Kurama and coddling him instead of hugging Naruto, which made the fox very pleased. "And hello to you, Naruto." "Haha, very funny," Naruto said, kissing her cheek. "So, are you ready to head to Star Labs?" Linda responded as they went out of the CCPN and into a neighboring alley. "Yeah. Take a deep breath and try not to move," Naruto instructed Linda as she clutched Kurama to her chest. Naruto wrapped his arms around her waist and hurried them to Star Labs. Caitlin, Cisco, and Dr. Wells were in the cortex when they noticed Naruto and Linda emerge and a whoosh of air raced by them, knocking papers in the air. Linda wobbled a little when Kurama sprang out of her arms and shook his fur to rebalance himself from the stress of traveling so fast. "Wow, I'm going to have to get used to that," Linda commented as Caitlin gathered some of the scattered papers. Caitlin added as Cisco nodded, "Felicity was right about paperweights." Naruto apologized. "Sorry, guys. It's fine. We've grown accustomed to it. Now, shall we get started?" Dr. Wells remarked as they proceeded to one of the building's spare labs, where they had put up all kinds of equipment to test and evaluate Linda's powers. Linda stood in the testing room, her jacket removed and dressed in a Star Labs t-shirt. While Dr. Wells, Cisco, Naruto, and Kurama were in the observation room, Caitlin was there, putting monitor nodes on her arms and chest. So, what's this for? Linda inquired. The nodes will allow us to monitor your vitals while we test your abilities. Our computers will then record everything, and from there we'll know exactly what you're capable of, Caitlin explained as Linda nodded. Caitlin then entered the observation room, where they were turning on their computers. Okay, we're all set. Nodes are sending back data. Her vitals appear to be normal, heart rate slightly elevated, but that's probably due to nerves, Cisco remarked as Naruto nodded. Alright, Ms. Park, we'll start our test right now, Dr. Wells remarked as Linda nodded. Right. So, what do I do? Linda inquired. Try to concentrate, and bring out your abilities, Dr. Wells stated as Linda nodded. Linda closed her eyes and tried to concentrate while staring at the wall. She attempted to recall how she felt the day before when she utilized her powers, not fear but adrenaline. Before the energy was drawn out and absorbed into Linda, her hands began to flicker with white light, as did the lights in the training room. As the energy passed into Linda, the lights short-circuited and erupted, and her hands began to glow like a lighthouse. Whoa, Linda said, closing her eyes and hurriedly pointing her palms away from her face to prevent being blinded by the tremendously intense light her hands were emitting. How's she doing? Naruto inquired as they examined the computers, which revealed that her vitals were normal. Her vitals are great, there are no negative effects from the energy her body is producing, Caitlin remarked. And it appears that she can not only produce but also absorb light from her hands, Dr. Wells stated. Yeah, when she absorbed the energy from the lights, her vitals improved. It's almost as if she can feed on energy like blackout, but much better, Cisco added as Naruto nodded. Alright, Linda. Let's put your abilities to the test, Caitlin stated as she touched a button, causing a massive block of metal resting on a podium to rise from the floor in front of her. The block you see is made of tungsten, which has the highest melting point of any metal at 6,192 degrees Fahrenheit. We've rigged it up with a highly advanced thermometer. Try to melt it, Dr. Wells remarked as Linda nodded. She directed her hands at the block, and two beams of white light burst out, striking the tungsten metal block. Linda concentrated as the white light continued to flash and the metal began to glow and become hot. She's already at 2000 Kelvin, Caitlin exclaimed, as everyone looked on in awe as she shot out light that was 3000 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's rising, Dr. Wells said as the temperature continued to rise, eventually hitting 3000 Kelvin. How are her vitals? Naruto inquired as Cisco examined them. Perfect. Her vitals are stable, Cisco replied, nodding. Linda persisted despite the heat from the light she was producing melting through the tungsten and destroying the thermometer, which recorded her greatest temperature as 4000 Kelvin, or approximately 6740 degrees Fahrenheit. Linda's light beam had melted through the tungsten and struck the wall, melting the metal and concrete and creating a small hole. That's enough, Linda, Naruto remarked as Linda came to a halt, displaying the newly formed hole in the wall. I'm sorry, she apologized as they nodded. I guess I'll have to fix that later, Naruto remarked, nodding to Dr. Wells. Aside from the minor melting, Ms. Park's powers are quite impressive. Let's return to the cortex, Dr. Wells said as they returned to the cortex. Linda sipped some water, exhausted from using her skills in such a way, but she was alright. Linda inquired, so, what's the prognosis? The prognosis is you're a badass, Cisco muttered, scratching his ear as Kurama jumped into the chair next to him. Linda grinned as Naruto remarked, didn't need to tell me twice. It appears that Ms. Park's powers have no negative side effects, in fact, the opposite. When you absorbed the light from the testing room, your vitals improved as if your body's own electrical energy was increased and rejuvenated, Dr. Wells remarked as Linda looked perplexed. It's basically like replacing electrolytes after a run or marathon, but with energy, Caitlin explained as Linda agreed. Linda inquired, so, what exactly can I do? It appears Linda has developed a form of photokinesis, Dr. Wells remarked. Linda stated as Naruto glanced at her, the ability to control light. I've picked up a thing or two since we started dating. Yes, it appears that Ms. Park is capable of channeling and producing enormous photons as pure light, and based on the readings we obtained, there's a chance she can produce pure starlight, Dr. Wells replied. Wow, that means she can reach 5330 Kelvin, Naruto stated as Dr. Wells nodded. What about the flickering lights last night? Linda inquired. Not only can you produce and project light, but you can absorb it as well. Caitlin explained. Last night, when your emotions were all over the place, you were subconsciously using your powers and trying to absorb the nearby lights for energy. So, is it all energy she can absorb, or just light? Naruto inquired. Let's put it to the test, Cisco stated as he handed her an battery. Linda clutched it, but nothing happened. He then handed her a flashlight, which he turned on, and she absorbed the light, rendering the flashlight ineffective and making her feel better. Linda exclaimed, "Whoa, like a 12-shot of espresso without the crash." "I suppose that answers your question," Naruto answered. "With the ability to produce and control light, Ms. Park will be able to do a lot," Dr. Wells stated. "Awesome. Now we just need to get you a uniform and a name." "I'm kind of partial to Dr. Light," Cisco replied. "I'm not a doctor, Cisco," Linda explained. Cisco responded with semantics. "Yeah, and Linda isn't getting a uniform, a name, or a mannequin next to mine unless she wants it," Naruto remarked as Cisco nodded. "Really?" Linda inquired. "Yeah, look, the whole point of this was to tell you about me, who I really am, and what I do. After learning about you, you're more than welcome to come to Star Labs and we can help you with your powers, but don't feel obligated to do what I do. I don't want you to put yourself in danger," Naruto said as Linda smiled. Linda commented, "That almost sounded like you were trying to tell me what to do." "I'm not. I just want to keep you safe because what I do is dangerous," Naruto answered as Linda smiled. "And I appreciate your concern for my safety, but I'm not a damsel in distress, and I'm not sure what to do with these powers. For now, let me just get a handle on them," Linda stated as everyone agreed. Caitlin said as they heard footsteps and watched Barry coming in, "That's a good idea." "Hey, guys." "Hey, Linda," Barry waved as Naruto smiled. "Perfect timing. Meet the fifth member of our small group, Barry Allen, also known as the Flash," Naruto added dramatically as Barry laughed. "It's just Barry, Linda, as usual," Barry remarked as Linda nodded. Linda murmured as Barry raised an eyebrow, "Nice to meet another metahuman." "Didn't she just say meta?" Barry inquired. "Yeah, when I told Linda who I was, she had something to tell me," Naruto stated as Linda extended her left palm, which began to shine bright white. "Ah, so everything's fine here then," Barry stated as everyone nodded. "Good, because we're nowhere on the case. Joe tried to find us more leads, but nothing worked out. Now's a good time to tell me how you knew our dead guy." "What case?" inquired Dr. Wells. "2 dead scientists from Mercury Labs were discovered today, with no gunshots, knife wounds, or other obvious causes of death, and the ME returned to us with no heart failure," Barry explained. Naruto stated, "One of the victims was Dr. Abner Kwa." Linda inquired as Naruto nodded, "The guy the first told you about from the story?" "Well, that's a coincidence if I've ever heard one," Dr. Wells joked. "Yeah, all sorts of coincidences went out the window when the particle accelerator went off. Mind filling me in?" Barry inquired as they caught up with him. "Okay, so we've got 2 dead scientists. One was fired due to research into a lethal theoretical element of the universe, and there's no obvious sign of what killed them," Barry said as everyone agreed. "Seems like that's it," Naruto replied as footsteps and Joe entered. When Joe observed Linda, he said, "And more. Oh, we have visitors." "Don't worry, Joe. She is aware," Barry stated. "Joe, please meet Linda Park, my new girlfriend and discovered metahuman. Meet Detective Joe West, one of the best in the CCPD," Naruto remarked as Linda waved. Joe smiled as she said, "Hi. Hey. So, no news on our 2 Vics, but I did get Dr. McGee to agree to let us see her and ask her some questions. Perhaps it'll provide us with something," Joe stated as Naruto and Barry nodded. Naruto kissed Linda goodbye and said, "All right, I'll see you later." XXXXX line break. Barry, Naruto, and Joe arrived at Mercury Labs and waited in the lobby behind the reception desk until they were ushered to Dr. McGee's lab. Naruto glanced around, seeing everyone in lab coats, and it reminded him of when he was younger and would visit his parents at Star Labs. The receptionist called, "Detective McGee is prepared to meet you. Please adhere to our security." "Thank you," Joe murmured as they made their way up to Dr. McGee's office. "Gentlemen, I apologize for the delay. We've been extremely busy around here," Dr. McGee explained. "No worries. Thank you for coming to see us," Joe remarked. "Naruto, it's great to see you again. I see you've joined law enforcement," Dr. McGee replied, laughing. "I'm just trying to assist people. But don't worry, I haven't abandoned science," Naruto added, nodding. "So, gentlemen, how can I assist you? Have you discovered my stolen Tachyon prototype, or are you coming to blackmail me?" she inquired, raising an eyebrow at Naruto. "Do you have any more?" As Joe cleared his throat, Naruto inquired. "We're here to speak with one of your employees, Alexander Reynolds," Joe explained. "Yes, one of our most talented engineers. Is there a problem?" Dr. McGee inquired. Dr. McGee was taken aback when Barry said, "He was found dead." "Dead? What happened, my lord?" she inquired. "We were hoping you could assist us. What do you know about Mr. Reynolds?" Joe inquired. Well, he's always been a dependable employee. I can send over his records and personnel files, Dr. McGee remarked as Joe nodded. Thank you so much. Have you recently observed any weird behavior or activity? Joe inquired. Nothing of the sort. But I cannot speak for all of my employees. In the engineering lab, I would speak with some of Reynolds' coworkers. I can arrange for you to be escorted later, Dr. McGee remarked as they nodded. Doctor, do you know who this man is, McGee? Barry inquired, holding out a photograph of Abner Qua. Indeed, Dr. Qua. He was a former coworker of mine. Do you mean he's a suspect? Dr. McGee inquired. No, he was found dead with Mr. Reynolds, Naruto answered as Dr. McGee froze for a second before sitting down. That's excellent. We've worked together and been friends for a long time. It was heartbreaking to see him go, Dr. McGee remarked. Go? I thought you fired him, Naruto remarked. To be honest, it was a touch of both. Abner and I have known each other for many years, and he was one of the first employees I hired when I founded Mercury Labs. He's been instrumental in many of our breakthroughs, Dr. McGee remarked. So, why did you fire him? What occurred if Dr. Qua made such a significant contribution? Brian inquired. The issue wasn't with Abner, but with an assistant he hired, Marcus Daniels. Daniels was a brilliant scientist, but he was, to put it mildly, weird. He was obsessed with recreating Dark Force, Dr. McGee explained. Dr. McGee nodded and Barry replied, cosmic radiation. Yes. Daniels had spent a long period studying under Abner. Abner embraced him like a son and shared his goal, and when Abner approached me about hiring Daniels as his assistant, his determination only grew stronger. He began spending every waking hour trying to produce Dark Force, even using part of our finances to build a reactor that would create a reaction, nearly destroying the building and the city if Abner hadn't stopped him, Dr. McGee explained. How come you didn't just let Daniels go? Joe inquired. The numerous safety concerns and violations could not be ignored. Abner was a trustworthy and loyal buddy who felt accountable. He was the one who asked Daniels to be his assistant, and he felt he was partly to blame for what happened. I tried to talk him out of it, but he made his mind, Dr. McGee reflected, his voice solemn. Abner was a good friend, and I offered to help him in any way I could. A higher pension and recommendations for any other type of career. And what about Daniels? Naruto inquired. Well, when Daniels was let go, some colorful language was spewed, and he said he'd prove how wrong I was about Dark Force, but I doubt he's been successful, Dr. McGee replied. Joe muttered to himself, I wouldn't be so sure about that. Do you happen to have an address for the two? Barry inquired as Dr. McGee provided them with all pertinent information. They spoke with some of Abner and Daniels' co-workers, and they all agreed that Abner was courteous and professional, but Daniels was secluded, driven, and a loner. Daniels nearly murdered them by conducting a Dark Force experiment, and when he was released, he swore to prove everyone wrong. Abner worked closely with Alex Reynolds, the engineer, on his projects, and they were friends. They went to Qua's apartment flat after leaving Mercury Labs to find out who attacked them. They entered to find it plain and messy, not in the sense that someone had broken in, but because Qua never cleaned up after himself. Damn, this place is a shambles, Joe exclaimed. Yup, true sign of a genius is that they're slobs, Naruto laughed, looking around and discovering some old trophies Qua had received when he was younger. This mess will make it difficult to find anything missing, Joe observed as Barry looked around and noticed some of Qua's papers and calculations on Dark Force generation. It appears Qua was still working on Dark Force creation. He might have been on something, and it appears he was getting close, Barry explained. That both confuses and frightens me, Joe replied, looking around. Rightly so, Naruto remarked, picking up an old photo of Qua with his Mercury Labs co-workers. This is Reynolds. If both Qua and Reynolds were killed, my gut tells me Daniels was involved, Joe stated. But, if Daniels looked up to Qua like a father, why kill him? Naruto questioned. Perhaps it was an accident, Joe responded. Why doesn't this kind of accidental death leave any physical evidence? Barry wondered. I'm guessing the metahuman kind, Joe said, citing some of Qua's estimates. Linda says the source of her story on Daniels and Qua thought they were re-engineering a Dark Force experiment, like the one at Mercury Labs, and maybe it worked, Naruto explained. That's all pretty bad, Joe added. Where was the lab? Barry inquired as they whisked Joe away to the old warehouse. When they reached outside the warehouse, they discovered that the windows had all been destroyed and that the cargo bay doors had been blown off their hinges. Damn, what the hell happened here? Joe exclaimed as he drew his Glock. Nothing good, Barry muttered as they entered and saw the wreckage of a lab. There were computers and equipment along the wall that had been damaged, as well as strewn and charred papers, broken glass, and hurled tables. but it was a small mechanical and glass dome in the center of the warehouse connected to a massive power source that caught their attention. It appeared to be how Qua and Daniels intended to construct Dark Force, as it resembled a reaction and containment chamber. They were definitely up to something here, Naruto stated, looking at the heavy-duty computer equipment and what appears to be a reaction and containment chamber that may be used for Dark Force. The question is whether they succeeded and whether Daniels was harmed, Joe stated as Naruto flew back to Star Labs, grabbed his goggles, and vanished into the warehouse in a whoosh of air. Naruto put on his goggles and shifted between modes as he examined the containment container. Nothing was found in thermal, night, or ultraviolet imaging. Naruto entered energy scanning mode and noticed what appeared to be black-colored residue around the chamber, emitting a distinct energy signature. As Barry and Joe approached, Naruto stated, "I think I got something. Some kind of unique energy signature picked up by my goggles, and it's not radiation." Naruto removed his goggles and handed them to Barry, who examined them and noticed the energy signature. "Is that what I think it is?" Barry said, handing the goggles to Joe, who examined them. "If you think it's Dark Force residue, I believe you're correct," Naruto remarked as Barry took out a small vial and scraped some of the residue onto a cotton swab before placing it in the vial. "And, I'm guessing, Dark Force is bad?" Joe inquired. "It's cosmic radiation, and it could be extremely dangerous in the wrong hands," Barry explained as Naruto agreed. "We have to find Marcus Daniels," Naruto remarked as they walked back to Star Labs.
XXXXX line break. Naruto and Barry returned to Star Labs, while Joe headed to the CCPD to issue an APB and search down Marcus Daniels. He was now the primary suspect in the deaths of Croyd and Reynolds. Team Flash and Linda were in the Cortex while Dr. Wells analyzed the residue they had recovered, passing it through the mass spectrometer for a complete readout.
"This stuff is as impossible as the three of you," Dr. Wells replied, pointing to Linda, Barry, and Naruto. "So, it's Dark Force," Naruto remarked, nodding to Dr. Wells. "I'm afraid so. Whatever Qua and Daniels did worked, and I don't think it would have been possible if it hadn't been for the particle accelerator explosion. The dark matter emitted that night must have been the missing ingredient needed to create Dark Force," Dr. Wells said, looking over Qua's calculations papers. "How come the city hasn't exploded or been sucked into a black hole or something if Dark Force has been in Central City for nearly a year?" Linda wondered. As one of the computers beeped, Dr. Wells replied, "That's the million-dollar question." "What's that?" Linda inquired. "I set up a facial recognition program to try to find Marcus Daniels," Cisco explained as he pulled up a map. "Traffic cameras had just picked him." "Where?" Barry said as Cisco displayed video footage of Daniels in the middle of an intersection wearing a black trench coat and surrounded by wrecked cars. They noticed him walking down the street, as if he was looking for someone. Caitlin said, "That can't be good. We have to stop him before he causes more harm," Naruto replied. "Gentlemen, be cautious. We don't know what Marcus Daniels is capable of," Dr. Wells warned as Naruto and Barry snatched their suits and dashed through the city. The Flash and Impulse raced through the city and slid to a halt in the intersection where they saw the destruction and people fleeing in the traffic cameras. Flash noticed Daniels walking down the street as automobiles swerved out of the way. "We've got him," Flash shouted as Daniels extended his hands and dark crackling energy blasted out, knocking some people down. Impulse looked up and noticed Daniels focusing his attention on a certain person, who turned out to be a scientist from Mercury Labs they visited earlier today. Dr. Edwin Yang, a scientist with whom they spoke who collaborated closely with Dr. Qua. "Aren't you happy to see me again, Edwin?" Daniels exclaimed as Edwin scooted away as quickly as he could. "Daniels, why are you doing this?" exclaimed Edwin. "I'm settling a long overdue grudge. You ruined my life," Daniels yelled, his hands glowing with evil energy. "And now, I'll take yours." He released the energy, but Impulse pushed Edwin out of the way. "Go, get out of here," Impulse yelled as Edwin bolted. "So, you're the speedsters I've read about, and it's nice to finally meet people like me," Daniels stated as the Flash appeared next to Impulse. "We're not like you, we don't harm people," Flash explained. "Sometimes you have to get your hands dirty if you want to change the world," Daniels stated as Impulse had an idea. "And that includes murdering Alexander Reynolds and Dr. Qua," Impulse said, seeing Daniels' hands curl into fists. "We discovered their bodies. What difference did killing them make to the world? Reynolds deserved to die. He was the one who told Christina McGee about our experiment and got Qua fired. He ruined everything," Daniels exclaimed. "And Qua?" Flash inquired. "It was an accident. He went to tell Reynolds what happened, but he should have been happy. We finally achieved our dream," Daniels said as he reached out his hand and summoned the dark energy. "Dark Force, limitless power in the palm of my hand. Your lab." You bonded with the Dark Force, said Impulse. Nothing can stop me now, and I'll finish Qua's dream and destroy Dr. McGee and everyone who tried to derail it, Daniels declared as his powers began to affect the surrounding environment and the lights began to flicker. That's certainly not what Qua would have wanted, exclaimed Flash. Don't tell me what he would have wanted. Daniels yelled as a surge of dark energy rushed out from his body and struck them, knocking the Flash and Impulse through the air and crashing into parked cars. Oh, that hurt, Flash muttered, grunting in pain. Damn it, Impulse exclaimed as he rose up and noticed Daniels approaching them, his hands glowing with black energy. I'm completing his life's work. Everything he desired and shown to me is feasible, and I'm not going to allow anyone stop me. Last but not least, you two. Daniels yelled as he unleashed a dark energy blast, causing Impulse and Flash to flee. Alright, how do we stop this guy? Flash inquired over the radio as they hurried away from another dark energy bolt. As the cops arrived, Cisco told him, still working on that. They instructed Daniels to freeze, but he didn't, so they opened fire, but the bullets hit his body and slid to the floor as if nothing had occurred. What the hell is going on? What was it, Dr. Wells? Impulse inquired. It appears that he can absorb the kinetic energy of the bullets. It will make fighting him much more difficult. Try to catch him off guard, Dr. Wells said as Impulse saw Daniels shoot an energy blast at the cops, but he hurried and got them out of the way. Got it. Flash exclaimed as he dashed into the street. Come on, Daniels, that is all you have. Rah! Daniels yelled as he tried to blast him, but the Flash dodged him. When Impulse got close to Daniels, he jumped and hit him across the face with an accelerated mass punch, sending Daniels tumbling across the ground and knocked out. Guess Dark Force isn't that strong. Impulse said as he walked over to Daniels' body and pulled him up to take him to Star Labs when Daniels grabbed his arm. Thanks for the boost. Daniels remarked as he grabbed Impulse by the throat and lifted him up. How about I show you how powerful Dark Force is? While Impulse's energy was being drained, Daniels began infecting him with negative energy and would have killed him there if he hadn't vanished in a whoosh of air. His skin began to lose its color and all the electricity his body produced was being sucked into Daniels and it made him feel stronger. Damn it, Daniels exclaimed as he swiftly from the area. Guys, said Barry as he returned to Star Labs with Naruto, who was barely conscious. Barry yelled as Cisco assisted him in getting Naruto onto a gurney, and Caitlin hurried over and removed the top half of his costume while Cisco hooked medical nodes to Naruto's chest. What's going on? Dr. Wells inquired as they observed Naruto's dangerously low pulse and pale skin. He's lost a lot of bioelectricity in his body. Caitlin stated as she inserted an IV to his arm. His pulse is really weak, and I'm barely getting a heartbeat. Guys, look, Linda remarked as they noticed a black spot around his neck where Daniels had gripped him, which wasn't just on his skin but was also running through his veins like a visible poison. What exactly is it? Barry inquired as Naruto's vitals began to deteriorate. I'm not sure what it is, but whatever it is, it's killing him, Caitlin stated as she saw his vitals sink. Daniels. He must have infected Naruto with some kind of poison, Dr. Wells speculated. Alright, we can cure him, right? Linda explained, I mean, we're at Star Labs. Can we even treat the Dark Force infection? Cisco inquired. Tsunade. Get Tsunade, Barry. She healed you, maybe she can heal Naruto, Caitlin stated as Barry agreed and super accelerated away, reappearing seconds later with Tsunade, who looked perplexed. What was it? Naruto, Tsunade said as she saw Naruto. What occurred? A new metahuman has emerged. He depleted Naruto's bioelectricity and infected him with a virus, Dr. Wells explained. Are you able to heal him? Linda inquired. I can try, Tsunade said as she walked over and placed her hands on Naruto's chest. She concentrated as her hands glowed green and her bioenergy began healing Naruto and his vitals improved. She kept healing him as his pulse began to return to normal, but the infection didn't go away. Easy, Barry whispered as he assisted her to a chair. They looked and found that Naruto's pulse had increased but had plummeted again as the virus had progressed to his heart. If we want to help him, we need to get rid of this infection, Caitlin explained. Alright, but how? I mean, we have no idea what we're dealing with, Cisco explained. I've had an idea. It's a little crazy, but it could work, Dr. Wells explained. Tsunade responded, well, good because crazy might be what we need. It has something to do with Ms. Park, Drive Wells explained as Linda gazed at him. What should I do? She inquired. I believe that the night you got your powers while trying to figure out your story, your powers may have been able to cleanse the infection. If Daniels infected Naruto with Dark Force, the only way to purge it may be to expose it to pure light, Dr. Wells explained. Cisco stated, pure light can cancel out dark. However, Linda's light can reach temperatures of up to 4000 Kelvin. Caitlin warned, that could kill him. Dr. Wells responded, not if she concentrates on the infected area. I just learned how to use my powers. I'm not sure if I can do something like that, Linda explained. You can, Dr. Wells remarked as he rolled up to her. I believe you can, and so does Naruto. Park. What I've observed about you and what Naruto has told me proves that you can achieve it. Your abilities are within your control, not the other way around. Naruto. Requires you right now, Ms. Park. You can do it. Dr. Wells remarked as Barry, Cisco, and Caitlin held Naruto down to the gurney. Hold him down. Linda gazed at Naruto as she moved up and stood by his side, placing her hands on his chest and concentrating. Her hands began shining as Naruto growled in pain. However, this could save your life. Linda concentrated as her light entered Naruto's body and began to expel the dark force infection, forcing it to recede. She kept her light on until the virus was purged from Naruto's system. That's enough, Dr. Wells stated as Linda stopped and Naruto stopped writhing. Can you hear me, Naruto? How are you feeling? Linda said as Naruto opened his eyes. It's like someone lit a campfire on my chest, Naruto remarked, causing her to chuckle as Barry helped him sit up. What happened to Daniels? He's left. He infected you with a dark force virus. If it hadn't been for Linda, you'd be dead right now, Barry stated as Naruto glanced at her. Linda told him, I thought Dr. Wells told you to be careful. It's part of the job. Thank you, Naruto replied as Linda kissed him and assisted him in standing. So, we now know Marcus Daniels is a meta with the ability to control dark force, Cisco explained as they approached the cortex. And he's the one who murdered Reynolds and Qua, Naruto pointed out. But why would he murder Qua, who was like a father figure to him? Caitlin inquired. I don't believe he meant to. Qua, according to Daniels, went to Reynolds to tell him what had happened. My guess is that he realized Daniels was too dangerous for him and that he needed help, Naruto explained. That corresponds to what Dr. McGee told us. He felt responsible for what happened and tried to make it right, Barry explained. You're correct in that regard. I hacked into Reynolds' phone and discovered multiple calls from a payphone near where their bodies were discovered. The calls began a month after Qua was fired and continued until the particle accelerator exploded, according to Cisco. Caitlin speculated, Reynolds probably sent the letter to Linda about what they were trying to do in case something bad happened. Well, something terrible did occur. Now we've got a crazy guy out there with cosmic radiation powers, and we have no idea what he wants, Cisco explained. What he seeks is vengeance. He believes that everyone at Mercury Labs is to blame for his termination and wrecking his life. He believes he is continuing on Qua's legacy by eliminating those who did not believe him. And he possesses the necessary abilities. He can kill just by touching people, and I believe that's what he was attempting to do to me, Naruto explained. Mr. Daniels appears to have the ability to absorb any form of energy. He absorbed the kinetic energy from the bullets, rendering them useless, and he can absorb bioelectricity as well, because the body runs on electrical impulses, Dr. Wells explained. So he went to kill Reynolds, and when Qua was there, he accidentally touched him and killed him, Barry explained. And thus began the journey to Crazy Town, Cisco explained. Okay, so how are Naruto and Barry going to stop someone they can't even touch and who has the ability to absorb energy? Tsunade inquired. Sounds impossible. Caitlin spoke up as Linda had an idea. Perhaps not, she responded. What exactly do you mean? Barry inquired. If his dark force infection is anything like his powers, then maybe we just need light to stop him, Linda stated. Exposure to more energy than he could absorb at one time. If he gets overworked, his abilities may be lost, said Dr. Wells. It's like using too much energy to power a light bulb. After that, we'll be able to put him in the pipeline, Cisco stated. Alright, so how are we going to expose him to that much light? Perhaps we might set up a light projector, Naruto stated. I'll go ahead and do it, Linda stated as they all stared at her. If my powers could have stopped the virus, I can stop him. Wait a minute, Linda. This is far too risky. You've already heard how deadly Daniels is. You noticed it, Naruto informed her. I understand, but the longer he stays out there, the more people get hurt. In addition, I'm the only one who can stop him, Linda stated. He could kill you, Linda. I don't want anything to happen to you. Linda smiled as Naruto said. I know, but I'm not going to just stand here and do nothing when I can actually help. Linda stated this as she kissed his cheek. Okay, so what would I need to do? If our theory is correct, fire as much light energy as you can at him. When he absorbs too much, he should become overwhelmed. Cisco will prepare a cell for him in the pipeline. Linda nodded as Dr. Wells spoke. Cisco approached a shelf, picked out a tiny box, and presented it to her. I made these on the spur of the moment. Extra strong sunglasses should shield you from the harsh glare. Linda nodded as Cisco spoke. Linda opened the box, saw what appeared to be standard sunglasses, and put them on. Okay, now we just need to find him, Linda stated. If he wants vengeance, he'll probably go to Star Labs. Dr. Wells stated as he displayed CCTV camera footage from which they obtained an image of Daniels a block away from Mercury Labs. Be cautious. Daniels is both dangerous and insane. Be patient and wait for an opportunity. Right. Naruto murmured as he and Barry rushed across the city, holding Linda by the side. Daniels strode across the city, absorbing more energy as he passed by lamps and car lights on his way to Mercury Labs to exact his revenge. When Daniels walked by, people fled in terror as streetlights erupted. He was about to cross another street when two blurs appeared in front of him. It's you two again. Didn't I already kill you? Daniels inquired, motioning to Impulse. Guess it didn't stick. Impulse responded. Don't worry, this time it will. Daniels muttered this as he conjured more dark energy and launched it towards the two, but they sped away. Impulse looked about and noticed that the energy was more stronger than before. Guys, is it just me, or is this guy a lot more powerful than before? Impulse inquired. It isn't you. He appears to have absorbed a lot of energy since your last combat, which is making him stronger, said Dr. Wells. Right. Let's hope this strategy works, Flash said. All right, Daniels, please give us your best shot. The Flash and Impulse played struck the mark and maintained Daniels' attention while Linda waited in the alley, calming her worries. When she saw the devastation Daniels was wreaking, she began to doubt herself. This is insane. Linda, please calm down. You can do it, she thought to herself as she went out of the alley and onto the street. Hey. Daniels turned to see a woman in the street wearing sunglasses. Leave them alone, says the author. Linda yelled as confidently as she could, but she remained nervous. Her hands began to glow as she concentrated. Wrong time, wrong place. Daniels remarked this as he launched a dark energy blast at her, and she lifted her hands to form a light shield, canceling out his dark force. What the? It actually worked. Linda was surprised that it actually worked. Interesting. Daniels claimed he unleashed another dark energy blast, this time hitting Linda and knocking her out. Ouch, that hurts. As Daniels fired another shot, Linda said, but Impulse pushed her out of the way. Are you okay, Linda? He inquired. Yeah, a little scratched up. Now I'm ready for some retaliation. Linda's hands shone as she spoke. Kick his ass. As they watched Flash continue to play, Impulse informed her that he had hit the target. Hello, Daniels? You need some sunlight. Linda yelled as she fired her laser beams at Daniels, and the two beams met in the air. As the collision unleashed a massive display of brilliant light, Impulse and Flash protected their eyes. As the two beams battled for dominance, the clash of dark force and light resulted in a dazzling array of changing colors of light. Daniels appeared to have the upper hand at first as the dark force pushed back the light, but Linda concentrated more and more as her light began to glow brighter. Daniels, Impulse, and the Flash had to close their eyes because it became too light. Linda only required a slight slip in concentration to push her light beam, which defeated Daniels' dark force and hit him as he began absorbing the energy. Daniels gritted his teeth as the energy became too much for him to absorb, causing him to collapse to his knees with his body on fire. ARH! Daniels yelled as dark force energy exploded from his body, knocking Linda, Flash, and Impulse to the ground. This still hurts. Linda exclaimed as Impulse hurried over to assist her. Hey, are you okay? He inquired as she nodded. Yeah, I'm fine, Linda responded. You were amazing. As Flash approached, Impulse said. Yeah. Well done. As they looked around, they spotted Daniels laying in the roadway, unconscious. Impulse walked over to check his pulse and found it to be normal. He's alive, just unconscious. Obviously, the enthusiasm was too much for him, said Impulse. He needed some sunshine, Linda replied, as Impulse and Flash laughed. Nicely done, Light. Flash said as they returned to Star Labs and placed Daniels in a cell. Daniels blasted and pummeled the cell with his dark force, but it didn't budge. Are you certain it will hold? Linda inquired. Yes, the cell has a reflective energy field, so anything he blasts it with just bounces back, said Dr. Wells. Good, because I think dealing with dark force only once is enough, Cisco said as he shut the pipeline door. Nicely done, Linda. Caitlin informed her. Yeah, that was awesome, Cisco stated. I concur with them, Ms. Park. Outstanding effort. Without you, we couldn't have stopped Mr. Daniels, said Dr. Wells. Many thanks, folks. To be honest, I believe a lot of stuff was due to adrenaline, Linda stated. Don't undervalue yourself. You did well for your first time out in the field, Barry stated. Of course, take it from us. The first time in the field can be nerve-wracking, but you performed admirably. Strong and badass. I knew you could do it. Linda smiled as Naruto said. I now see why you and Barry go out to save the city. There was some haste, Linda stated. Does that mean we can expect you to help us again in the future? Cisco inquired, hoping. Please say yes because I have some fantastic suit ideas. Linda chuckled, brushing her hair behind her ear. Perhaps, Cisco. If necessary. For the time being, I believe I simply want to have a better understanding of my abilities before becoming a superhero, Linda stated. In fact, she's a superheroine, and you are welcome to visit Star Labs whenever you need to. Dr. Wells said this as he and the others exited, leaving Naruto and Linda alone. Are you alright? Naruto inquired. No, I'm fine. I mean, I was afraid out there, but there was a genuine high when Daniels and I collided in that energy collision. Is that how it feels out there when you go to defend the city? Linda inquired as Naruto laughed. Only a little. You grow accustomed to it. Are you serious about previously? Naruto inquired. How about becoming a superheroine? Maybe. I mean, shouldn't I aid you guys if I can? Linda inquired as Naruto approached her and kissed her. Whatever you want to do, I will fully support you. Naruto murmured as he kissed her on the cheek. But don't think that'll stop me from worrying about you. Likewise. Are there any more secrets between us? Do you have any other abilities that I should be aware of? Naruto shook his head no as she inquired. No, you are aware of everything I do. There may be certain things I need to catch you up on. Linda smiled as Naruto said. Naruto Namikaze, my speedy superhero. Naruto grinned as she spoke. Linda Park, you're my lightning rod. As Linda glanced at him, Naruto said. She inquired, lightning rod? Yeah. I'll always find you, lightning rod. Naruto stated as Linda walked away. That bothers you. What do you think about my lighthouse? Try it again, Speedy. As Naruto followed her, she remarked. How about the furnace of my heart? Naruto asked, shaking her head. I'm not very good at the nickname thing. That is more of Cisco's expertise. To be continued.
That's it for this podcast. Thanks for listening to this video. If you did enjoy this part of the story, like, share, and subscribe for more. And thank you all for helping support. And have a great day.